So Greater Trochanteric Pain Syndrome is one of the most common conditions we see at the hip within physiotherapy. In this video, we're going to break down the key points for assessment and diagnosis to help our patients with GTPS. If you're ready, let's dive in. Hey guys, Khalid here. Welcome back to Clinical Physio. So in this video, we're talking about GTPS, Greater Trochanteric Pain Syndrome. Now, GTPS is a collective term for pain around the outside of the hip, the lateral hip, which is most commonly thought of to be due to a tendinopathy of the gluteus minimus and gluteus medius muscles. Now, in previous times, we used to consider this a bursitis of the hip, but actually studies from that of Long et al., in which they looked at 877 patients under ultrasound guidance, showed that actually the bursa wasn't involved in their symptoms. So nowadays, we don't think about the bursa as much. So first of all, subjective clues. How do we screen for this condition in clinic? Well, it's thought that GTPS affects up to 25% of the population, but who is most at risk? Well, the most common demographic are individuals aged between 40 to 60, and it's more common in women than men, particularly those around menopausal age. It's thought that estrogen plays a crucial role in tendon health by enhancing collagen synthesis. Therefore, a decrease in estrogen levels around the time of the menopause can affect tendinopathy. We also know that patients with back pain are more at risk of developing GTPS. 25 to 30% of patients with low back pain will go on to develop this condition, so we need to think about that too. We also know that an increase in BMI or increased adiposity is also associated with tendinopathy, and we're looking in particular for a recent increase in activity of that individual that has overloaded the tendons on the outside of their hip. So has your patient recently done a new exercise class, done more running, or done something that's going to be aggravating those tendons? We also know that hip adduction, the hip coming inside of the midline, is a position that is aggravating for GTPS. Therefore, listen to this in your patient's story. Do they have pain when they're lying on their affected side? Do they have pain when they're crossing their legs or standing with their legs crossed? Do they find it's painful going up and down the stairs, which is a common time when hip control means that the hip moves into adduction? So really listen out for these things and consider that this could be what's irritating their tendons. So what can we use as a part of our physical examination, our objective testing, to rule in GTPS? Well, the first thing I always go to is a single leg stand test. So in this test, our patient is asked to stand on their injured leg for between 30 to 60 seconds. And the test is positive if doing this provokes their symptoms around their lateral hip. Now, one thing to make sure of is that they're standing in a nice central alignment. If you find that they're leaning to one side, we might correct them to make sure the test is accurate. This test is suggested to have 100% sensitivity and 90% specificity, so really good to use. Next up is Greater Trochanteric palpation. Here we simply ask the patient to lie on their unaffected side with the affected hip facing upwards. We palpate around the lateral hip, particularly the greater trochanter, to see if this reproduces our patient's pain. A positive result would be reproduction of that pain and comes with a sensitivity of 80% and a specificity of 47%. And finally, resisted side-lying hip abduction. This is suggested to have a sensitivity of 38% and a specificity of 93%. Here, once again, we ask the patient to lie on their unaffected side with the painful leg on top. We then ask them to lift their leg in a hip abduction movement, and as the examiner, we're going to resist that movement. Here, we're looking for how much strength the patient has, in particular a reduction in their strength, and we're also looking to see if it reproduces their pain on the outside of the leg, which would be considered a positive result. Now, it's really important to use all these tests together in a cluster for the most accurate results. Now, the single leg stand test has excellent sensitivity and specificity, as we said, but Kinsella et al. Found even more promise when you combine the greater trochanteric palpation and the resisted hip abduction together. They found that a negative hip palpation and a negative resisted abduction test brings down the probability of GTPS from 59% to just 14%. Conversely, a positive greater trochanteric palpation test with a positive resisted hip abduction test increases the probability of GTPS all the way up to 96%. So, a final consideration. Do we need imaging, x-rays, ultrasounds, MRI scans for these patients? Well, a really interesting piece of research from Blank and Baker et al. They looked at patients who had an MRI scan of their hip even though they had no pain at all. What did they find? They found that 88% of those patients did have signs of tendinopathy at the lateral hip even though they had no pain at all. So that means if patients with no pain will have these changes, can we really be sure that these changes are the true problem for patients who do have pain? Ultimately, diagnosis is not to be made via imaging, and clinical examination is more than adequate enough to give us that diagnosis. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please support us by smashing that like button and subscribe to the channel for all our best updates. We've got loads of resources as well on our Instagram account @ClinicalPhysio, and we've got loads on our website too, clinicalphysio.com. My name's Khalid. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon here on Clinical Physio.